This journey is going to be tough, right? And we've got to be realistic about that. Because if it was easy, OCD forums would be 99% empty and everyone online would be saying, oh, I recovered from OCD so easy, it's not even that hard. Doctors wouldn't take it that seriously. No psychiatrist would take it seriously. And most people wouldn't even bother writing a book about it because it'd be so easy. That's obviously not the case, right? I meet very, very smart people that have had OCD for years. It's not to do with smart. Howard Hughes was a billionaire aviation tycoon. He couldn't recover from OCD, right? The same as, is recovering from heroin addiction easy? No. Do smart people get addicted to heroin? Yes. Do rich people get addicted to heroin? Yes. Now, OCD recovery is something that you've got to think is going to take a lot of persistence and practice to break it down. Those on the team, Nick, Momin, didn't find it easy, right? Nick was very difficult to work with in the beginning, right? Because he was all about black and white thinking. I know this, I know that. And the problem with I know this, I know that, it blocks out any new information. That's why it's always good to start a day with, I don't know anywhere near what I think I do. And in the next year, I'm going to look back at my current self as really idiotic compared to the next year, right? And that's the reality of how things are going to go if you're working on changing your thinking constantly each year and pushing yourself to a higher level. So a lot of that thinking, he was absolutely convinced that he knew why he was stuck. It wasn't going to get better. He tried everything, but he hadn't even started. He hadn't even started the journey. And then you saw the light bulb moments going along and along and along, and he's completely different in thinking to how he was. Momin was so locked up in compulsions and avoided. I kept saying, have you done your exposure? No, it's too hard, Rob. Well, you should do that one. No, it's too up the hierarchy. I thought this guy's not getting better. He's just turning down every single exposure, right? I had to literally sort of almost say, right, we're doing it now. We're going in that room now. We've got to do it. Otherwise, you're staying stuck, and really push. And that's what made the change. There's going to be lots of people in these groups who, unfortunately, never recover. Think about that. There are going to be people in these groups that never recover. Now, you say, what? That's so scary. Well, let's just go on in a facts basis. How many people actually read the books? Loads don't. They coast, they skim read and stay stuck. I'm not saying they're going to be having constant panic attacks forever, but they're going to stay with some chronic guilt and chronic anxiety for the rest of their life. Now, how could I make that statement different? Well, if I saw that everyone was reading the books, working through things, practicing, breaking down beliefs and keeping up the work, I wouldn't make that statement. But just on the facts right now, I'm pretty sure there's going to be people in these groups that never recover based on the way things are today. Okay? So you've got to think, I don't want to be that person, right? I want to recover. I could have easily been that person. I didn't want to. I wanted to recover. That was top priority in my life, right? I didn't have the resources like you've got today, right? It was impossible. I ring up a top private psychiatrist in central London. Hello, I'd like to book a session. Okay, you need an introductory session for 2 hours. That costs X amount. Okay, and what do I find out in that? You find out if you've got OCD. Crap. I could write the Y box test again to make it actually bloody work. Do you have intrusive thoughts? Do you think about things that are scary? Basic rubbish. It needs to have all stuff on there like, are you scared of your sensations? Are you scared of maybe harming your kids? Are you scared of sexual taboo, things like that? And then they'd be like, yes. The current Y box just basically covers someone if they've got contamination and a few thoughts on some basic stuff. Useless. And then again, it's like, oh, it's the gold standard. Crap. The names, gold standard on something that's out of date, very basic, right? So if I went to that, I would have an introductory session for an hour and a half to basically determine if I had OCD or not, with a lot of reassurance. Then I would ask for my first session. They'd say, come in 2 weeks' time and you can meet whoever you're going to speak to. And I would meet them and they'd speak to me like this. Hello, how are you? Are you okay? Okay, so tell me, and have you started meds? And all that stuff, it would go like. Just a total disaster, right? And that alone, for somebody who's like, I don't want to start meds, I want to work on my thinking or whatever, they can feel completely lost and hopeless. And then if, God forbid, you go in an OCD forum and you just see OCD gal 312 being stuck for 25 years, posts every single day, reassurance questions and says, suck it up, hun, and take the meds, then you think, really, I'm screwed, right? And that's the reality of life for most people with OCD, unfortunately. People will say, Rob, that sounds very extreme. Unfortunately, it is. Unfortunately, it is like that out there, right? You just go into a standard NHS therapist and you say, I think I've got OCD. Let me see your hands. Have you been washing them? Now, that's not their fault. They just don't have the education for that. Okay? The same as I don't understand about rare diseases of the hand. Yeah? And you could tell me all things about the hand and I would not understand. So that's the reality of things. Now, if you go into other countries, it gets even worse because the knowledge gets lower, right? I see people come in that have been treated by witch doctors. Imagine that. I see people come in that have had lobotomies. What? Lobotomies? Yes. Older people that had a lobotomy years ago. I see people that come in that have had deep brain stimulation over and over in hospital, multiple suicide attempts. I see all of those things. All because when they come in, I say, what were you scared of? I was scared of cheating on my boyfriend and I just couldn't get rid of the thought. Right, we've got to work on the beliefs. I saw a girl come in a couple of years ago. Her father was a massive attorney in Chicago. And she said to me, I was doing a seminar to about 20 people in Bristol, and quite a few years back now, actually more than a few years. And I said, how long have you been stuck with OCD? She said, 6 years. And she said, my family have had me in 5 mental anxiety hospitals in the US and around. I went to one in Canada or something, and then like all this stuff for like 6 years, right? I said, how much have you been spending on OCD treatment over all these years? She said, my dad spent $500,000, right? I was thinking, well, I can't even believe this at the time, right? And she recovered. She didn't even bloody know she had ROCD. Just imagine that. All of that, and she didn't even know she had ROCD, right? Absolutely crazy. You ring up some of these anxiety hospitals in London. I rang one the other day just because I was interested in seeing how they operate. And when I look at how they operate, it's just disaster. Hello, yeah, just try, just like they say to you, sort of like, you ring up and you say like, hi, I'm inquiring about seeing if you've got any help for OCD and anxiety. Yes, okay, just make sure you're really relaxed and stuff like that. Yeah, you could start in a couple of weeks. It's going to be $5,000 a week. That's inpatient. You get 7 mindfulness classes a week. Where's that going to get anyone? Nowhere, right? I understand that's how the hospital operates. I understand they're trying their best, but 6 mindful classes a week, most basic stuff ever. It's like meditation. Very good for helping distance from thoughts in a more basic level and for helping along the journey, like in terms of getting some distance between thoughts and being more mindful and present and not engaging and cutting the inner work rate down. Very helpful, right? However, if that's the only thing, if someone's doing, or mindfulness in a basic form, there is no recovery. I never meet anyone who comes in and says, I just did meditation. I meet people who went to meditation retreats for 5 figures of money and spent months out there and come back suicidal. Yeah. So it's a helpful assistance. Do I meditate daily? No. Am I aware of mindfulness things daily? Yeah. I'm sitting in this chair, I'm doing a talk, I'm aware of the room, I live in the now. But a lot of that came from the rational thinking of just living in the now. And then as I'm living in the now more, I'm more aware of the things around me. And so I'm less connected to stresses that are going on in the day that we all will have as human beings, but not chronically. And when you look at all those things, the despair that we see people in, it's because they're banging their head against a brick wall where they're going to get nowhere. A yoga retreat in Thailand, yes, that retreat may have had the highest success rate for heroin addiction. And they drink loads of liquids, they throw up, they get into living there and the meditation, the simple life, and they break up for heroin. Yeah, I get that. And I think it's fantastic. But for OCD, it's a different beast. And I realized that along the journey. Why the fuck did I have to have OCD? Other things are so much easier. Why did I have to have the most resilient one? It ain't easy. If it was easy and it was just retreat, we'd be running retreats. We would have opened a big place in Thailand. We would be having hundreds of people go there and we'd be getting the best results. All we care about is getting the best results. That does not work. I'd have people there frantic, panicking, all new thoughts, morphing. And you think that will work. Oh, you just tell them not to think about the thought, still do the meditation, do that. That don't work when you think that the monastery or wherever you are has got a bloody tiger in it and it's about to kill you, right? And that's what OCD feels like. Okay, just relax. There's a hungry tiger outside. We haven't fed him for a week and there's a big steak attached to your leg. Just relax, just breathe, drink that milk thing over there. Think about where you are in Thailand. We're going to let him in about 10 minutes. But really, please take some deep breaths and live in the moment. Come on, I've explained this to you. And that's the reality of it, you know? And I'm blunt about it because I lived that life. And that's why this is here today, because of that fed up and that sort of blunt speaking of, I've had a fucking enough of that shit, you know, of the years of that. And that's the reality of it, right? Because it was like that for me, just one place to the next to the place. Hi, yeah. Have you read The Happiness Trap? Have you read this mindfulness workbook? Great for basic skills. I get that. But not for severe POCD, severe harm OCD. No chance. It absolutely destroys anything that was in that book. It railroads straight through your head 100 miles an hour with adrenaline. You know that because you're in that position. And I know that because I've been in that position myself. And if I hadn't been in it myself, I definitely wouldn't see it at that level. No chance. You've got to feel completely stuck when nothing else is working and feel the strength of it to really realize what works and doesn't. And that's key. You're going to recover if you put the work in, but you've got to put the work in time and time again. You have to persist. Do not fall into the group of the coasters. Yeah? There's coasters everywhere. There's coasters in here. You don't want to be one. Get out of coasting.